If you have been looking for a tutorial that is simple to follow using Advise, React, as well as the Tailwind CSS, now this tutorial is for you. So basically, we are going to be learning how to create this website, which I've got this challenge from Front End Mentor Challenge. So this is responsive. You're going to learn how to do responsive, meaning you can have it in the mobile view, tablet view, or in a full size desktop view. And so basically, I got this from Front End Mentor, the designs from Front End Mentor. Basically, you can just go there if you want to follow along with this tutorial. Then do the same as I did. I can't just find it. Okay, this one. It's a newbie one results component, and you just basically click on it and you start and download the starter. I'm gonna show you how the starter project look like and how we can go about starting our own project using React and Tailwind. Basically, for front-end mentor, if you don't know, you can also choose the language that you basically want to use here. They just had CSS and HTML. So let's get started with this one. First, I'm just gonna download this starter and show you how it looks like. So inside here you get these files. So inside here you get these files, and so you get the styles and how it should look like with the preview screenshots of how basic. So inside here you get the starter preview, how it should look like, the screenshots, assets of things that are going to be needed, the fonts, the images, which they have icons here. They have the styling guides, which have the colors and the sizes of what what's need to be like. And if I say open, you can see that this is different screen sizes. This one has the full screen. This one has the mobile view screen. So I'm gonna open this in my Visual Studio Code. So this is what you're gonna get. So we have the assets, um, uh, all the stuff that I've mentioned, also the data that you see here, the data that you see, which is a simple JSON file, and then the HTML that they have here is basically have no styling stuff. So we are going to just take the data and the icons and then create this whole thing using React. Let's start our project. I am going to open my terminal, and if you're using Windows, this is basically a command line prompt. Now you have to run the command to create your project and make sure you have the necessary setup for your React as well. Yeah, so all the stuff that you need, the Visual Studio Code, provide, you know, the latest, the better. So I'm gonna say npm create Vite at latest, and then the name of our project. I'm gonna say it's a summary component. Okay, I spelled right wrong. I have double V. Okay, so they're gonna list options of the framework. We are going to go with React, and then as a beginner, I'd advise you choose JavaScript. Then npm start. As soon as it's done, they're gonna give us our local host URL to see our project. So I'm gonna copy that, replace it with this guy. So this is what we have as in the beginning of new React app. So I'm gonna open this folder that I've just created. So this I've created a folder of the project. I'm gonna go ahead and create and open it in my Visual Studio. And this is what you basically have. The stuff that you see on the browser, it is this, which we don't need. So I'm going to delete from section here. I'm going to just remove that. And we have just a blank canvas. We'll also have this. Okay, let me just remove the other stuff that we don't need. So we could just have a clear picture of what we need, of what we are actually doing. So another thing, we are using a Tailwind Vite, Tailwind CSS using Vite. You can basically get it from the documentation, go to installation using Vite, and then we're gonna just go through step 2, because step 1 is what we just did, which is creating our project. Now we're gonna install the Tailwind inside our project. Now this terminal is running our server, so I'm just going to use the terminal inside Visual Studio Code. They're basically the same thing. So I'm going to paste that there and then run. Okay, as soon as it's complete, we need to import in stage 3, we need to import stuff in the vite.config, which is this one that has been created for us then. So we're going to copy this line and import. And then also put this inside our plugin, right inside the square brackets there. Save. And then inside, let's say inside your CSS file, you need to import Tailwind CSS. So I'm gonna install that, and then yeah, our server is already running. And then this is basically how you're gonna see if it runs. Those are the steps there down there. Right, this is still using. It's using index.css, which is all this. Let's say import. Yes, should be blank. And then what we are going to be coding from, we are going to, let me close this so it makes so much sense as we do. We are going to code inside, no, for good practices, let's create our own components separately, so you could actually get the real feeling of how stuff are done in the development. So we're gonna have component folder. Might have more than one component, but in this project we only have one. So I'm just gonna create my results summary .jsx. Okay, so instead of us using this, we are going to use this one. So we need to tell our main that it should run, or we could import it here. We need to tell app to run results. We did not export it yet here. So here inside our component, we need to export it so it could be accessible to different files inside our project. And to export that, we are going to say export default function result summary. And I'm going to close this. So inside here, we need to return something. So it could be stuff that you want to be shown. So it's components and containers that we want to show. So I'm just gonna have a return with the dev function. So we need a return and then of square brackets. Okay, I have an auto filling thing, but I want us to do step by step, like to show you function. So here, if we now call it, we could see it. Okay, so I'm gonna go step by step to see. Now, before we start our styling and um, right, so before we start our styling, we need to reference our tailwind to tell it where to get our styling, which we'll be using it in app.css. So for reference, go to index.html and we're gonna have a link. So for referencing, we're gonna go to index.html and we're gonna have another link here. Close it like this. So to link, we're gonna say href. It's inside our source file, and it is the app.css. And then we're gonna have a real style sheet. Okay, I'm gonna save that. And then now we are going to go to app.css. And we're gonna import import. Let me just go back. Okay, we just did this. Add import CSS. Yeah. Okay, we import that. So we're gonna use a theme to put our colors. And if we check our colors here, we're gonna find it in our style. And this is a purchase we downloaded that has colors and stuff. We're gonna get these colors here. They have the perfect color that matches with the results page here. Okay. The stylings, the colors. So a theme. So to reference a color, use double dash and say color, and then we have the color name. So here they have light red, orange, and that. Let me do this. Let's see if I could have a side on side, so I don't have to close. Hmm. Oh, okay. First color is light red with light red, and I'm gonna copy that, put it here. I'm gonna do for the rest of the colors yellow, green teal. Okay. Then those gradients we see, it's the background. We have another color here. Colors which are neutral. White, our tailwind has white by default, so we don't have to declare it here. We can just go ahead and do the pale blue. And the lavender lines. Right. And then our background, I'm gonna call it background image. Okay, so two backgrounds. So background ingredients, background. Okay, so it's a linear. Okay, just need to see. Okay, so we have the first linear and the second linear. So I'm gonna combine these two. So the first one, ingredients. Okay. I think they start from the bottom, so we're gonna say to bottom, and I'm gonna copy this color. Oh no, let's start with this one. So this one's for the background, this one is for the circle. And close it. Okay, let me just copy this, paste it instead of background. I'm gonna name this the circle one. I'm gonna copy the first color of it, comma, and then I'm gonna paste the other color of it here. Okay, I think we have all the colors that we need. Just go back for reference again. Okay, so we have the colors here. Now we need to tell okay, before that, let's see if we can get our color here. So now we can use class name and reference our color. So this one, we're going to say the background. Remember, we have pale blue. So now if you check, it does not have anything yet. We're going to give it a height to take up the whole screen. So to do that, we're going to call minimum height like this to take up the screen. Let's save. And we have our pale blue there. Right, so we are going to have flex, and then our items should be in center. So I'm going to say justify center. Okay, so here I'm going to have main, which will have our two sections. Let me go back to my design for reference. So we're gonna have these two sections here. So this is the main dev that we have, and then this is the main, which will have two sections. So inside my main, and I have class name. One of the reasons why this is not aligned well, it will probably have errors somewhere. So we're gonna just quickly check. We have made a mistake. At this point, this should be half. So this is actually wrong. So should have the dash here to be half, and we have half. This should be round. So the problem would be somewhere here. So we have a width, we have a height, we have small width and small height. Okay, it's probably typo error or we're missing something. So small width, 200 pixel. Yes, here. And we have our round thing there. So another thing that we want to have here into our session, everything is should be centered. Next, flex. Okay, background 6. It's centered. Pixel heading top. Let's have small padding also. 210. So this also should be curved, and we have a straight line, so we're gonna have rounded. Scale at a 32 pixel and small rounded. Items. So the thing about CSS might not give an error, but your output might not outputting the right stuff. So you need to check on that. As you've seen that I had errors that I wasn't alerted on, but then the outcome was not what it's supposed to be. So we have rounded. Let me see if there's other mistakes. Rounded as rounded. Okay, another error here. Okay, so we have a rounded sides here. Okay, so we have results and this and that as well. So this will get this items here will get them from the data, and this I think is not from the data. Let's look at the data that we have from our projects that we got data. So it's just scores. I think you have to calculate at all the scores to get the as an average or something. We'll calculate. Right, sorry, I got cut up. But basically, I just fixed the centering of this part here. Not sure. Okay, we can fix the item center, also centering um the div pod that is inside here, and having this to be in a half side. Okay, so now we're gonna continue doing this side, the blue part, using our data that we have on the other side. So I'm going to import the data that we have from this project we have downloaded. So I'm just going to copy this, and it's a JSON. So to do that in our project, we are going to go on top here and declare a constant data, and then equals to, and I'm going to paste it here. And as you could see, it has 4 categories, and they have different assets to each, and they have different category names and different scores. Now we need to reference also the assets that are here. So to have our assets, I've copied the asset images here, and look how I've renamed them. And you have to rename them using this type instead of how they were renamed, how they're named here. As React won't be able to recognize the imports. So we're going to import each of the assets here like this. So the first one is the icon memory. So I'm going to say import icon memory from, so it's underneath my asset folder, and then I'm going to call icon memory dot svg. Okay, I'm going to import the second one. It's icon reaction, also from assets, and then say icon reaction dot svg, icon verbal, assets dot svg, and the last one is for the virtual. Okay, from here, I'm going to replace this with this icons that I have imported. So this one is icon memory. And we have, okay, now our data is ready to use just like this. So the next part I want us to do with the data is the stylings. So if we look at the stylings from this design, you could see that they have different styles to every different category. As you can see, this one has red, and the orange one, a teal, and the lavender. So those colors we get them from, I think we did import them. The orangey, this guys here. So to do that, because it is dynamic colors, we would need to declare a variable that will help us be a helper to categorize each color. So I'm going to call it category styles. Category styles. Okay. So we have reaction. Let me just, yeah, we have reaction. So the color, the background color of reaction, background have to be a string. So the background of reaction, let me just go back, is red. So we're gonna have light red. So we're gonna say background light red. Now because the background, you need to put the PG at the beginning, and then the text of it, we need to say it's text light red. So I'm gonna copy and do for memory. And memory is this orange one. So background orange, and the text, it's orange. We have verbal, teal, text. Last one, visual, virtual, and it is the blue. Right, now that we're done doing our data and also declaring the stylings, we can go back to the HTML part. The part now we need to do is the score inside. So if we look at the score inside, it has a total number and then out of 100. Let's start with the 100. Let me format this and close this so you could see properly. Let's also zoom in a bit. Okay, so we have this div that will have two numbers, one for the total number and out of 100. So we're gonna have two spin because they're both strings. Gonna have another one for the 100. Okay, so here we need to calculate the total number of this guy. To do that, we need to then have a formula to calculate all these numbers, the average of all these numbers. I'm going to do the calculations right here. So I'm going to have a course total score is equal to, I'm going to use math and rounded. So this data, I'm going to use reduce. Okay, so it needs two values, the previous value and the current value. Okay, so we have account and then current. So we're going to say this plus current score. So we're going to say dot score. I'm going to put 0. Which bracket are we in? Okay, so I'm going to divide all this by data, the length, because we want the average. Right, this will get us the total. This will get us the average of the data input that we have here. Okay, so we have the total score now. What we can do is say, reference it like this, put the curly braces as we reference something that is outside the return. Okay, current, I cannot assign this expression. Right, let's go back. So constant total score method round. Oh, okay, I'm missing this. And it's actually a score. Okay, see, we have 76. So it's basically the number that they also have with those numbers. And then we are going to, because it does not look like the design, we're going to go ahead and design our total score. Okay, first we see class name. The text of it is it's white. Okay, we have text of white and make it bigger, 5 extra large, small text, we have 7 extra large, and font, it's a big font. It's a big font. So I'm gonna go for an extra. Leading. Okay. Then I'm gonna go ahead and do also the style for the total white. That's actually not white. So I'm gonna put the lavender one. We have the light. The text is light. Let me put light lavender. Okay, let's make it a little bit lighter. So I'm gonna say yes, /50, and then let me take a small SM text space, and then have font to bold and margin top. I'll give it a 2. Okay, so we have the total score, and out of 100, the next part that we want to do now is having the text that they have right here, the grade your score is. Then we'll be done with the first section of this one, and then now I'm gonna have a div right here. Okay, because we need to group it. So the grades, let's have it on header 2. So it's grade, and then P. Then we copy the text that they have, HTML. It's this one. Okay, so I'm gonna style this, guys. Header 2, class name. Header 2, the text is white. Know how now to put the white text, and then give it a 2 times extra large. Same 3 extra large, and font. Give it a bold. Margin bottom 2. Margin bottom 2 times. Okay, and then the paragraph, let me just reference again, styles. Okay, it's lighter, so I'm just going to have class name here. Class name, put text light, lavender. And text will be small text. Okay, I'm gonna give it 18 pixel, this one. Bleeding snap. Okay, some of the things like class names you don't understand, you can always get them in this guy, the Tailwind documentation. They have like every class name styles that you can play around with, and yeah, see what they actually do. Okay, for the maximum width, because you'd want to also like keep it like this to be, if you see here they have like a line padding there and it's centered, so I'm gonna have a maximum width for that. So maximum width, to make sure that it stays constant to this file, so I'm just gonna have pixel and maximum. I have it auto. See how it looks like, right? So we have that. Then the next part, we are, it's basically yeah, that's basically it. And then you could just look at the stylings. I think that's a little bit too big, but I don't know the font, but it's fine. So now the next part, we are going to do the other side, which is the all categories, and we have all the stylings now. So let's just do it, starting with the next section. So we have a section just after that section A. Right, so this section, we need to just justify it to be center and make sure it's like at half, and also give it like spacing at the sides. So I'm going to start with the padding, give it an 8, and small screen, I'm going to give it a padding of a 10, then center it. So justify, the between, width should be half. Okay, I'm going to start with the title. Okay, I'm going to do H3, and the title is summary. With H3. Okay, let me style it to be a little bit bigger. Class name, text, The darker one, let's look for darker text. Let's go for the dark gray. And then text, make it big, 2 extra. Then when I have font or bold, let's give it margin bottom to 6. Summary now. Next part, we are going to now do the data part. And I have it on the div. Open the div like this. And now we are going to access the data outside this. So we need the KD braces. So the KD braces, we need to map it as if it's an array. So I'm going to use data.map. Okay, so each item on it, this will represent each item on it. And then another KD braces like that. Right, so here we're gonna have another small return that will have an HTML. So I'm gonna put it right here. Okay, so I'm gonna have a return bracket that will have our stylings. Now, remember we have custom styles. So I'm just going to call them again. Yeah, so we need to assign each style to each item. Like each style needs to belong to the designated item. So I'm gonna do that style here. So for the first item or whatever item it looks to, look at category. So if this is memory, this will have a category memory, which will then reference the style. So this style variable here will have that style in there. Here in styles variable. Okay, now that we have style, I'm gonna have a div container. Right. So because it's a data array, we need to loop it through. So it needs a key. So for a key, we gotta go for categories because they are unique. So key needs to be unique. So I'm just gonna go for category. And then let me style this div. Let me style it here because we need custom colors. So I'm gonna call class name. Right. So the way we call class name here will be different because now the style depends on a variable that is outside HTML. So you're gonna use curly braces, and then you're gonna also concatenate it. So we're not gonna use the standard quotation mark. We're gonna use the quotation marks like that are facing the other direction. So I'm gonna say flex items center it. Give it a space in between, just divide between, and then a padding course, and then it's rounded. As you could see, it's a bit has curves there. So I'm gonna have round, small rounded, just extra large. And then to concatenate it, I'm going to use $sign and curly braces. Now I can reference any data that is outside HTML. So I'm going to say take the styles, but the background part. Now this has the styles of the memory if the memory is the first item to look through. And it will then go here and look for a BG, and then it gets light red. So now I'm saying this div will be the background. Okay, so I'm going to save it. And as you could see, now they have all the colors of their categories. Now the next thing we want to do, actually let me just have opacity on the colors there because it's a strong color. It needs to have an opacity, and I'm just going to give it a 5. So to do that, just say 5 right here. Or if you want to go a bit lighter, you can just put numbers there. Okay. So they are slightly there. Probably don't see it, but they are there. Okay. So the next part, we have our div, the first one, category. Okay, so we would want to space the sky right here to give a nice spacing. So we're going to use Y and 4, then margin bottom, go to 6, and small, MB, margin bottom 10. Okay, it's good to see now. Also, just remember to check if the responsiveness is also working. It's good to see it works as it's supposed to. Right, we have that there. Header H3 item. Let's see. Okay, so let's go back to putting more data into our div. So this is inside each container, each line. Okay, div class name. I'm gonna center it. And give it a gap of 3. First, it starts with an image. So to reference an image, we'll say now the source. Okay, I'm gonna use curly braces, and we say this item dot icon. Save. So we have our icons there. So make sure that our icons have the same size. I'm just going to give them a height and a width of 5. Right. So the next part is the category name. So for category name, it's a string. I'm going to use a span and say category. No, not category. Item dot category. Right, so we have our category names there, but they need styling. They have the styling of each category. So I'm gonna call class name here. And because we want to concatenate it with the external values, let's curly braces and thus let's give it first the font of bold, some text base. So I'm gonna concatenate it and say styles of the text. And we have it here, right? And then the last part is the score. I'm gonna give it a div because a score has like 2 items in it, the actual score and the thing. So I'm gonna put them in its own container. Let me just format this. Okay. All right. So here would be item dot score. All right. And then I'm gonna have another value. So I'm just gonna put a string here next to it, which will be saying out of 100. Okay. So I'm gonna style this class name. Let's see, just have a dark color. So I'm just gonna use this text color still. And then font of bold, text. Let me just basically take this. Okay. Right, so what we want to fix is we have a gap of 3. We want to fix this to be right at the end here. So let me just go back line by line. Okay. Let me have this on a different outside to this div, as this is item center and gaps this 3. And this one goes now to the, so now it's space between this and that. So this class is now saying these 2 groups will have space in between, and this one will just have a gap of 3. And then the last part is the continue button. So the continue button will have to be outside this div. I'm going to call button. Let's continue. Yeah. Oh no. Format this to see. Okay. Let me have it here at the bottom. Oh, okay. Now our button is dark gray. Okay. So first we're gonna have class name. So the width is 4. The text is wide, and then rounded. Font bold. Text large. Background dark gray blue. Right. So let's see. Inspect element. Right, now we have that. Let me just change that. Oh, let's see. There we go. And we have it. Okay, so basically I'll just end here, but I'll give the code on GitHub as well. It has an extra of what happened when, I don't know if you clicked on it. On a click state, it should be that one like this. And that there, I'll continue it on my GitHub, that part there, just to keep this tutorial not too long. So basically we just done that, and just another bonus is that you could have this outside a different file, which is here, like make a file called basically JSON and just reference it right here. That will be another bonus from Frontend Mentor. But as a beginner, I'd say just start like this and understand how everything works. Thank you so much for watching, and hope you guys have learned something. And please do write in the comments anything you don't understand, and also what tutorial you want to see next. Thank you for watching.